Hello, everybody, and happy Monday. Welcome back to First Ring Daily. Today's show is brought to you by these guys, Cloudberry Lab. Protect your home, business, or data by backing it up to basically any cloud you want, Amazon, Google, or Azure. Check them out today at cloudberrylab.com/FRD. And as you notice, Paul is not here, which is probably a good thing. He's driving back home right now, as we did our Uber edition on Friday because he actually did it from his car. Uh, the Patriots, unfortunately, also won in a late fourth quarter comeback. And I personally don't really want to talk to him because he will just be talking about that and how happy he is that Tom Brady is. Yeah. So we can't let him know that. But there is one very interesting thing that it is worth pointing out today. And so this device behind me, if you haven't seen this yet, or if this doesn't look familiar, go to just go to Throt.com, and I posted up a post with a bunch of images, I think 7 or so. And what this device is a very early prototype of an Xbox watch. There's actually a couple images that have the Xbox branding on it, and per my knowledge of when they launched the band, I'm almost positive that this thing predates the Microsoft band. It actually very well could have been the inspiration for the band. And if you're not familiar, the Microsoft Band actually started off in the Xbox org. It actually started off as an Xbox peripheral. It was going to be a fitness wearable that was going to tie into some applications that were on the Xbox, obviously fitness related, and you could track it on the band. Then it would sync to the Xbox and all that. And then they said, hey, you know what? This thing would actually be pretty neat outside of just the Xbox, and that basically birthed the band. And I suspect that this device right here is kind of a prototype that launched the band. It actually, the size wise, looks roughly the same as, say, an Apple Watch or a Fitbit Blaze, that type of style. Obviously, you can see it's a square and not like the band's long kind of profile, or whatever you want to call it, display. And the images just kind of show something that looks like a like the band UI, or at least a very early iteration. We know from the images that this thing appears to have supported GPS as well as a heart rate monitor. And so if you think back to, this is probably, kind of spitballing back in the napkin here, roughly, I want to say 2013, give or take, is when I think that this thing was probably around, and actually charged via a standard USB, although I suspect that would have changed when they launched it to a much smaller connection. But again, early prototype. And so you can go check it out. I'm very curious what people would think of an actual Xbox branded watch. I mean, that's what this thing was. It was an Xbox watch that Microsoft ultimately never launched. Knowing how things have gone in their hardware, that may not have been a bad thing, but I also think that there's actually probably a good following who would have loved to see this thing. I'm more curious to see what the product roadmap would have been, because if this thing had a heart rate monitor and GPS built in that many years ago, it kind of would have been a little bit ahead of the curve there. And well, we all know that the true fate is that it never launched, but somebody managed to get their hands on the prototype hardware, and they took a whole bunch of pictures and all that good stuff. And so definitely go check that out and let us know in the comments about, would you have bought one of these things? It actually even says not for sale. I just noticed that right there. And yeah, obviously you got battery, you got time. We don't really know too many of the other specs, but this was a project that was clearly abandoned early on, but not too early on, because they actually, they fleshed it out, and it's got a fully working, relatively fully working UI. So that's really the big news you need to know about today. Also, in the education sector, there's a lot of good stuff happening. Microsoft announced a bunch of essentially Chromebook competitors, starting sub $200, that you should go check out if you are looking for a lower end machine that kind of has that high versatility. Essentially, if you're a counter to a Chromebook. And so Microsoft announced that this morning. They are trying to make another big push in the education sector because, as many people know, at least here in the US, that's kind of the Chromebooks domain right now. And Microsoft is trying to claw back with a modest amount of success. And this is just another initiative for them to make sure that they're trying to compete heavily in that arena. And so, with that, folks, Paul should be back tomorrow, and should be back to basically a regular show, provided that he actually makes it home safely, which obviously we hope he does. And that about wraps it up for today, folks. Obviously, another quick episode here. Today's show is brought to you by Cloudberry. You can go check them out, cloudberrylab.com/FRD, to learn how to back up all your data to Amazon, Google, or Azure. Basically, they make it pretty dang easy. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you right back here tomorrow.